Bally, we're going to talk about the new Nintendo 3DS Direct that happened literally today when we're recording this. So we've got some hot takes to give, and some announcements were made. And we're just going to discuss it. We're going to pick things out and probably just focus on the things that are more relevant. Lots of Amiibo shit happening, Bally, which I don't know that either of us are a fan of. So, yeah, let's get into it, Bally. How about we grab bag this? Why don't you pick out a thing and we'll go back and forth.
Why don't we go for the first sort of shocking surprise that I was like, wow, that's a thing. Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS.
Yes.
It's weird. It starts playing and sort of the trailer and footage starts showing up and I'm starting to think, right, it just looks like the Wii U version. What have they changed? Where's Mario Land 2? Where's Mario Land 1? I want to see different
Yeah, we
tile
want these
sets.
handheld
Yeah.
representations going on.
And then it's quite clear that, okay, there's no new tile sets. So I'm just like, right, fine. Right, I'll give you a pass on that one, Nintendo. Fair enough. Like the Wii U version was a really successful product, great game. Why not just keep the same format and bring it to 3DS? But then you find out later on when they're describing the game that you can't upload your levels that you create to the servers online. You can only do it locally, we think.
Yeah, so they said that you can share them via Street Pass, which I think is a cool idea. Obviously, like, if you're doing a 3DS version of Mario Maker, that's smart to have your levels go to different people who you're walking past in the street and everything. But not being able to upload them just seems like such a weird thing to do. And generally, this version seemed extremely gimped. Like, there is no way to search for specific levels. So say I make a level on Wii U and want you, for example, to play it on 3DS. There's really no way for you to do that unless I see you in person. Like, it is kind of absurd that they have taken out, like, major features. It really doesn't feel like a fully realized version of this game. It kind of feels, as you said on Twitter, a bit of a cash grab, to be honest, where they're like, hey, we know there are lots of people who own 3DSs and are interested in this Mario Maker concept, and obviously the general public, people who are just going in there and playing random levels and things like that, aren't going to care too much about the lack of these features. But if they were to make something that was, viable for people who already own the Wii U version, I don't know that this gets many people on board, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
It's cool to have a portable version of it, but when it's lacking so many of the key features that make Mario Maker what it is, it just doesn't seem like a smart thing for me to buy or for you to buy at all.
I think Jeff Gerstmann did a tweet that was quite accurate. He often does sort of a really succinct tweet.
He's very
Just sort of
pithy.
sums up a situation quite well. Like he did a great one for the PlayStation 4 PlayStation Network announcement when the price went up and things
Yeah.
like that. He's very good at like just putting his finger on the pulse and finding out what things are. And he's basically said, he said he could sort of see how someone who's sort of obsessed by Mario Maker and wants a bit of that experience on the go, this is really good for. But ultimately, if this is your only Mario Maker, so if you only own a 3DS and this is the only game you buy, it's not really offering the same product at all as the Wii U version, and that makes it just fall completely flat.
Yeah. So it's come kind of calling into question the idea of, hey, what are they going to do about NX and maybe having a Mario Maker version on there? And people have been going back and forth about whether this means that there's going to be one or there's not going to be one. And I tend to feel that it means that NX will have one. And the reason I think that is, as they are kind of trying to move all their platforms together and put everything on every place possible, it seems like they are trying to get, before NX is announced, as many people as possible to be on board with like the idea of having the same game across their different areas, and therefore introducing them to the notion that when NX comes around, people will be like, okay, I'm going to buy this game, but hey, I don't actually need to buy it twice this time. I have it on both systems. How do you feel about this, Bally? Do you think it indicates anything about Mario Maker potentially being on NX?
I don't know. I think that Mario Maker has to step it up a gear when it comes to NX. I don't think they can get away with just putting out the same product. And maybe that does mean adding a couple of new tile sets, or who knows, but there has to be something different. So I think if Mario Maker comes to NX in the same form it was on Wii U, I don't think I would pick it up, to be honest. I mean, I did like the game. I do like the game a lot, but I need something new, and like this game that they've just announced in the 3DS version certainly doesn't do that for me. It's nothing
It does less.
new. It does
So,
less. It does
yeah.
less. The one upside I think, which is quite cool, is that it's coming out really soon. It's coming out like start of December, I believe, in Europe at least.
Yeah.
And that's quite a smart, quick turnaround. Impressive stuff. Considering that this holiday season on Nintendo's end is pretty bare. And throughout this direct, there was quite a lot of stuff announced for coming this year, which is pretty impressive considering how sparse it felt earlier this year. So they've sort of pulled a rabbit out of the bag a little bit on this one, and I guess 3DS Mario Maker is part of that. Like we've said, it's not the Mario Maker we'd want to see, but it's something.
They've pulled a rabbit out of the bag, but it's a very skinny rabbit. In the sense that, like, yeah, okay, they have games for the holiday now, but they're ports of games from systems you already have for the hardcore people, of course. The stuff that they were announcing here really felt like, hey, all our money and effort and time is going towards NX right now. Here are some ports, and here are some B-tier games, and here are some things. There's quite a lot of them, but, like, nothing stands out as being that important to me.
Well, while we're talking about ports, shall we just
Sure.
go straight for Woolly World?
Yeah, let's go straight for that.
I think that when you're in a situation like Nintendo, where there are so many more 3DSs out there than Wii U's, I think it is a smart move considering your assets when you do these ports. Like, I think, especially at the end of a life cycle, Yoshi's Woolly World, I mean, I didn't like it much, but I think people generally liked it quite a bit. And it's got a great art design, very cutesy, very charming. And I think that it is a game that could work on 3DS. So I think it's cool that they've just sort of had the idea. Actually, here's a cool game that we made that only a small number of people are going to experience, but we know that there's a lot of people who are on this other system who will probably enjoy that experience as well. So let's just bring it to there. And you got to say that this port seems a lot more thorough, a lot better. It's a better representation of the original game than the Mario Maker port suggests. This suggests that they're keeping the same game with added Poochie levels. Yay.
Right, more stuff being thrown
Exactly,
in.
more stuff. Obviously, the Poochie amiibo, great.
Sure.
It just seems like I'm obviously not a Willy World biggest fan, but I think this is a cool idea and a more positive one than Mario.
I think it's a good portable game as well.
Yeah.
I think 2D platformers work great on 3DS regardless of what they're going for, and it's definitely smart. It's one of those things which you think about and you're like, well, yeah, this really makes a lot of sense because Wii U has been doing very poorly, and software sales for a lot of these big titles like Woolly World have probably been pretty soft. So it makes sense that they can take stuff that can work on 3DS power-wise, because it's not like the biggest graphical powerhouse. It looks really nice, but it's definitely transferable to a smaller screen.
Yeah. Do we know when it comes out?
I think it's this holiday as well. I think a lot of this stuff was... Actually, no, I think it might be 2017, now that I think about it. I think it was confirmed as, like, a later release. Like February or something, which I was a little confused by, because I'm like, wait a second, February's getting very close to when NX is supposed to come out, isn't it? There's quite a lot more 2017 3DS announcements than I was really expecting in this direct.
Yeah,
it seems like Nintendo's tradition of leaving, systems to die in their last years is like the complete reverse on 3DS, because it just seems to be booming with software. Not the greatest of software, but they're still putting out a lot of stuff.
It's definitely just changed my opinion massively on the life cycle of the 3DS. Like, this thing is guaranteed now to at least run into the first little while of the NX, and that is not what I would have said a year ago. I think it's quite impressive and interesting that they want to go for having the 3DS and NX alongside each other for at least a short period, if not perhaps longer. Who knows? But there's lots of more games that we're going to talk about that also are sort of prolonging the life of 3DS by going back to older games, changing them up, DLC, added amiibo content, stuff like that we maybe mentioned.
I mean, Emily Rogers, who has been reporting on a lot of NX stuff, was saying that Nintendo apparently plans to support the 3DS up through 2018, which is a really long lifespan. I mean, you think 3DS came out in 2011, right? So that's 7 years of support, which, I mean, the 360 PS3 generation was around that length, and people were saying that was getting long in the tooth. 3DS is very outdated hardware at this point, but there is a big install base out there, and I think Nintendo are smart to still support that system because it's their big moneymaker right now. It still has like a lot of people who own the hardware, and therefore there are a lot of opportunities for software to do well. What it does make me think, and this was another Emily Rogers thing that she tweeted out earlier on today, is that maybe when we look back on the Wii U in posterity, it may start to seem like less of a unique system and less of a system with its own identity when you're considering a lot of these games are being moved to 3DS, and the NX supposedly is going to have ports of things like maybe Splatoon, Mario Maker, and Smash Brothers. Like, the identity of the Wii U and it being a system that you go back to for specific games is going to shrink and shrink if we keep getting, like, these ports going to different places.
Yeah, I mean, even as it was, so many of my gaming experiences on Wii U are, you know, indie games that are obviously on other systems. I spent an awful lot of time on virtual console games. So my actual time I spend on my Wii U playing Wii U unique games is probably almost a third of the time I spend on Wii U. So like so I've always seen it as this box that brings everything together. And that's how sort of I'll certainly remember it. But I agree that maybe some of its unique identity and its unique IPs are being shipped out a bit. But I can totally see why Nintendo are doing it. And I actually think it's quite nice to see Nintendo go for a cash grab every now and then, because so often fans suggest, and you know, the backseat CEOing saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. And these are sort of things that definitely the armchair CEOs have suggested, where, you know, they do port different IPs to different systems. So I think it's quite positive.
And 3DS has now got quite an eclectic kind of back catalogue of remakes with like N64 ports with Ocarina and Star Fox, and obviously you have Donkey Kong 3D Returns, which is a Wii game being ported there, and now we have Wii U games being ported there. So like somehow this little handheld is kind of being this catalogue for a lot of Nintendo home consoles, surprisingly enough. So
we've had Super Mario Maker, we've talked about Yoshi's Woolly World both coming 3DS. Pick a third announcement, MBZ. What do you want to mention
with
next?
Your choice of verbiage there with picking, I think it's probably appropriate to go for Pikmin.
Oh boy.
Which is a side-scrolling 2D Pikmin game that I've learned from the internet and from various people is not being made by the best developer, Bally, unfortunately, and it's kind of killed my buzz on this game, because it did look kind of cool, kind of generic in my opinion, and I didn't really like the art style. I think it looked kind of ugly. But this game is actually being developed by Artoon, who made Yoshi's Island DS and Yoshi's New Island, I believe. Both games that underwhelmed people and people thought were not very good. And putting them in charge of another game with the beloved Nintendo franchise, probably not spelling the best of things, unfortunately.
I mean, probably the master, not maybe the master, but a person I really admire and listen to a lot when it comes to 2D platformers is Guillaume Viette on RFN. He knows his Nintendo 2D platformers, and I saw you retweet MBZ a tweet from him saying that this developer just makes terrible 2D platformers, and that is I think that is a real shame, because in my mind that almost makes this game go from a day one purchase to a let's sit back and see reviews and then potentially purchase, for me at least. It is disappointing that they have gone with someone like that, because, and I never really want to judge a 3DS game in terms of visuals from directs or visuals. I'm definitely
true. No, you're very, very true. I mean, the way that we talked about Codename Steam was
Definitely.
obviously backfiring.
And people are saying, and even a game like Federation Force, I've not really played it. I've only played the demo, but that's another game where people are saying it looks really great when you actually have it in front of you.
Sure, yeah, totally.
But on a stream or watching a video on YouTube or something, it doesn't pull weight. So I'm intrigued by this game. I really like that Pikmin gets a spin-off. Like it feels like all the franchises that Nintendo like to do spin-offs for are a big franchise. I mean, obviously it was a bit weird with Federation Force. They did a spin-off without having a main game in such a long time. That's a bit of that's a cheeky move. But
it is, yeah.
Pikmin 3 wasn't out a massively long time ago. We know that Pikmin 4 is coming sometime soon. We don't really know when, but it's nice that Pikmin does get a spin-off, and I think it looked interesting, and I'm intrigued. I love Pikmin, and I want to see where this goes.
Sure, yeah. I mean, again, I'm kind of gonna wait and see how people talk about it, but there were neat ideas in there. Transferring like the Pikmin philosophy to a 2D space. Apparently you can't jump in the game, and you have to get around situations through puzzling with Pikmin.
It looks like a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, totally.
And that's cool. Like,
and I'm sure it'll be a cheapish price. Not like it's not going to be a box boy kind of thing, but I think it will definitely be reasonable.
I think what I have to say, I think, even though it might be lower than your standard AAA 3DS game, I think that it'll be a shorter experience for sure. But I think the price will still feel unfair. It just feels
probably.
like one of those things. You know what I mean? Like I mean,
it's a core Nintendo IP being used as an eShop game, so
yeah, it might be like a 3-hour game, but they sell it for 20-25 quid, and it'll just be like, well, that was ridiculous. Thanks very much.
Sure,
Nintendo.
Yeah, totally.
But who knows? So I think that's the first quarter of 2017 or around then. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool, unexpected thing. Everyone loves Pikmin. It is cool.
Okay, so it's your turn, Bally. What do you want to pick out next?
I want to get into a bit of Darwinism,
Okay, sure.
I'm intrigued by Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Well, I mean, you've decided you're going to play one of those games.
I'm going to pick up one of them. I'm skipping X and Y, I think, and I'm just going to dive straight in for Sun or Moon. I played Pokemon Red earlier this year, obviously, loved it. I really love the idea of a lowland Pokemon. Obviously, this was known before this Direct, but I'd seen some of the shots of them online, especially the stuff like the Ice Vulpix and the Ice Ninetales. I think
those designs look so good.
And it's just really cool to take the original 150, which people just love, and obviously the Rise of Pokemon Go, the original 150 just have Gen 1 have such an aura about them. They're just really impressive designs, and I love the fact that they've taken them and done funny stuff with them, like obviously the Executor with a massive long neck and become part dragon type. I'm loving that, and I just thought this Direct didn't really tell you much more about the game, but I thought it was interesting how they justified how Alolan is tropical and the Pokemon on these islands evolved differently. So they used the example of Rattata. They said that this other Pokemon kept eating the regular Rattata. So the Rattata that evolved with the sort of on hind legs and with the different colors were more camouflaged and escaped their predator, and that's why the Alolan Rattata look different. And I was like, that's great. Bring evolution to the Pokemon universe.
I mean, they have evolution in a different sense.
I know. God, way to mess around with the word evolution.
Right, exactly.
I just thought it's a cool, fresh idea, a good way of including the original 150, and yeah, I'm jazzed for a bit more Pokemon.
Okay, I'm going to pick out Tank Troopers next, which was a really weird new 3DS eShop game that was announced, and I don't think anyone knows who's developing it yet. So that's the thing I'm really curious about, because it has an almost Advance Wars feel to it in its look, but it's definitely like an action game. It's definitely, hey, multiplayer tank shooting at people. The one thing that I'm going to say is a consistent bother to me, and it happens again and again with all this multiplayer 3DS software, local only. What the flying fuck are you doing, Nintendo? How they can't have online for so many of these games just continues to blow my mind and continues to make me not want to buy these games. Despite the fact that Tank Troopers looks neat and is something I'd be interested in.
It's really weird, especially because I thought this was almost like a continuation of a game like Sub Wars, where
right, exactly.
they went on a huge online rampage and they said, like, this is free download, try it now, you can play online for free, and everyone's like, well, great. And I tried it, I thought it was a cool game. I didn't spend any money on it, but I can imagine a lot of other people doing that, and it's really funny to take a step backwards like this.
What did you think of it, Bally? Do you like the aesthetic? Did it give you any Advance Wars vibes?
Advance Wars, yeah, but sort of Battalion Wars look.
Sure,
it reminded me
Wars,
a lot of Sub Wars. It reminded me of as sort of like a slow shooter, and it was cool with like the ideas of you have like a paint gun that puts off the visor of your opponents and stuff like that.
Sure,
cool.
Yeah.
Like add a little sort of Mario Kart tint to a tank.
Basically,
shooter.
yeah.
It's interesting enough. I don't think I'm going to pick it up unless it does something amazing review-wise. I think that the fact that it's not got online immediately just sort of shoots it straight at a very young market who own 3DS to play with their mates basically and not connect online, obviously. And that's a real shame because it might have been a cool thing.
Yeah, totally. Okay, what do you want to pick out next, Bally?
Let's talk a bit about Zelda 30th anniversary. So they sort of had a couple of announcements, very small ones. Well, I'd call them small.
Sure.
Skyward Sword came to Wii Virtual Console on the day. I love it when Nintendo do this. They do directs and then they say, here's a thing and you can do it today. Obviously, it's not a new game, but it is a great game. Skyward Sword is a great game. That's cool that it just sort of comes to the Wii U eShop on the day after the direct. They announced that in conjunction with 4 Amiibos for the Zelda 30th anniversary, which is obviously this year. That's cool. I thought they were some of the best Zelda Amiibos yet.
They look very well done.
You've got Toon Link, Toon Zelda, like a classic Ocarina looking sort of Link, and who's the fourth one? Obviously, the 8-bit Link, which I thought was also very cool. I'm not into Amiibos. I've got a couple. I've sort of promised myself I'm not going to buy any more. But
Toon Link, though, Bally.
I mean, why would
he's
I
your
buy
mascot.
Toon Link
He's your
twice?
Twitter avatar. He's your avatar everywhere.
I've got him already. So
I know.
It's cool.
I do think this Toon Link looks better than the Smash Brothers one.
Definitely, it's the pose that's on the HD remake and stuff like that. And
holding
cool.
the Wind Waker itself, which is great.
Holding the Wind Waker, which obviously is important. Cool stuff. I'm tired of Amiibo, but it's obviously making money for them. I know that plenty of Nintendo fans out there love Amiibo, including a lot of people who listen to this show. So I'm not gonna rain on their parade yet again. But there you go.
I've got a question for you, Bally.
Hit me.
Does this put a bullet in the potential of a Skyward Sword HD remake?
No, because wasn't there some other game that came to Virtual Console and then they remade it anyway? I can't even think what it was.
I mean, Xenoblade came out on 3DS and then was still on Virtual Console?
Exactly. Same with Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was
True,
3DS. So, no. I think there are a lot more questions of how to implement an HD Skyward Sword, obviously with the Wiimote Motion Plus.
Well, hey, I mean, if these NX rumors are bearing out to be true, then we may have motion in those detachable controllers on NX. So
I just think, unfortunately, as much as I know you love Skyward Sword, it is not. It came out when 2010.
It was 2011.
2011. So it's 5 years. Like it's had a lot of time to settle in. History has taken its toll. I would say a bit on that game, and I feel like there are other games, including Wind Waker, that have aged better and are more susceptible to a remake. Obviously, Wind Waker's already been remade. I think they will probably remake Skyward Sword at some point, but I just think the demand for it will be lower than we might think.
Okay.
But who knows?
Sure. So I think the next thing to talk about is Street Pass, because boy oh boy are they just piling on more Street Pass updates for people who just go to every games convention in the world.
It's weird.
And need more stuff to do. So man, a lot of stuff pissed me off about this, to be frank. So
A
they've
lot of
added.
stuff, I thought it was only one thing.
It was only one thing, really, but
Well, it's
they've
a big
added
thing.
5 new Street Pass games. A bonus thing is, hey, we get one of them for free. So
I think you could pick between the stock market one and the sort of
The train?
Skeletric. I can't even say
Skeletrix.
Skeletrix
Yeah.
style. I think that's a very British brand, actually.
Yeah, it
Skeletrix.
is. Yeah.
I think they changed the name to SCX actually. So SCX style point and accelerate sort of car mini game.
Are you decided which one you're going to grab?
Oh, the car one for sure. Are you kidding me? I can't be bothered with stock.
Nah,
markets.
son, I'm going to be trading all day.
Are you serious?
I don't know. I'm gonna have a look and
Dull.
decide.
I want to give it a go. But obviously,
I've been
Street
toying
Pass
with getting
has
into the
died.
stock market, Bally. So got to get some practice in.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing is that the Street Pass, other than obviously games conventions, we obviously just been at Gamescom where it was rife with Street Pass, but it does feel like you walk around in cities, especially like in Europe, and it just feels like it's not there as much as it was. I guess these are attempts to make it there a bit more, but it's also, like you said, it's just catering to that market who do still use Street Pass a ton, who still go to tons of game conventions each year, and constantly playing with that. So it's cool. I'm fascinated to see what they do about the Street Pass concept for NX. I don't think they'll keep it on in its current form, but I can definitely see them launching it in some new way. It'll be really interesting to see.
Inevitably, I think there'll be a version of this style of thing in NX.
Definitely.
Makes sense, because it's been so successful for them.
So what's your big gripe with it at the moment?
Well, before
then?
we
Is
get
it-
to my big gripe, they've also actually updated the plaza itself to make it more quick to get in and get out and to get Mii's into your place and skip dialogue and things like that. So they've added a swift play plaza, which is
It's
a
like
thing to
designed
streamline
for a
it.
games convention.
Basically, yeah, which is smart. But they've locked a feature, Bally, behind a premium account. If you have Street Pass Mii Plaza Premium, you can now store up to 100 Mii characters instead of 10. So they're making a convenience that everyone should have behind a fucking paywall. For what reason? I don't know, because they're assholes. This really pissed me off, to be honest. Like, why you would not make it so that everyone has access to this feature that makes Street Pass more easy to use and would make people want to use it more, just goes beyond me, to be honest. It is just really fucking stupid, and I am annoyed.
I'll play devil's advocate. I don't say I agree with what I'm about to say, but if you're someone who goes to lots of gaming conventions, is on Street Pass loads, and who would be in a situation where you could potentially have 100 people lined up and queuing in your plaza, is the likelihood not that you're already a premium member of Street Pass?
Probably, but that doesn't excuse it, as far as I'm concerned.
I know, because if you're someone like us who's just been to their first proper games convention,
Yeah.
and you've not
I
paid
could
for
have
premium,
finished everything if I'd had this feature, but no, they're just
but
gonna
maybe
fucking
Nintendo
lock it.
don't want you to finish everything. NBC, they want to ease it out a bit more. You
Yeah,
know?
great.
I know it's annoying and horrible, and it's frustrating when you are in a situation where you're getting more than 10 at a time. It's annoying. So I can. Hey, it's more cash grabbing.
It is.
Who can blame them?
All right, Bal, it's your turn.
I like me some Mario sports games every now and then.
You do,
yeah. I've not really played one in quite a while now. I think
It's
last
one of those things that back in the N64 GBA Game Boy era, you were like real hot on Mario sports. You owned all of them. You loved them all. You just went so deep in those.
I really loved the golf, the tennis, Strikers Charged. Loved them, like really loved them. And now they've put lots of them together. Obviously there was a Mario sports game that put lots of sports together on 3DS. No, DS, sorry.
It was on DS,
I think it was basketball, ice hockey, and volleyball or something?
Yeah, some weird, like, not very mainstream sports.
Exactly.
Basically.
Like if you want to make a hot sports title, you got to get the hot sports in there. And I don't rate ice hockey, basketball, and what did we just say?
Volleyball
Volleyball as those sports. I think Baseball. That's a game on GameCube that I never played that I would have loved to have tried. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Sluggers, right?
Sluggers.
Did Sluggers even come out in Europe? I have a feeling it didn't because of its American basis.
I want to say no, and who can blame them? I don't know how. I don't think baseball games would sell well in Europe.
No, totally not.
So I think this one's got football, tennis, baseball,
golf,
and horse riding.
Horse racing.
Horse racing.
Everyone's favorite Wario rides the horse in Mario Olympics 2016.
And they really tried to emphasize in this trailer that these weren't, half-done sports, that they did actually have some depth. And to some degree, I believe them. Like, it felt like there was enough there where to pick up this game and play them all together would be a lot of fun. I'm intrigued to see if it has online. I don't know if they said that or
So, Bali, I'm reading the text from Nintendo right now, and it says plus local and online multiplayer.
Are you serious?
It's breaking the tradition. They're actually online in this game.
See, I think I've had a really suitable break from Mario sports games. I'm intrigued to see how this does. I think this is coming out first half of 2017 as well, actually.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So I'm intrigued to see how this does. I'd like to pick it up potentially, and play me some online Mario sports because I need some of that back in my life.
There's a golf game on 3DS. There's a tennis game, and they've been, rated pretty well, and people have talked good things about them. But now everything just in one. Like, that sounds like a smart move.
Yeah.
If they all have the depth of those individual games as well, like, that's really great.
And that's a big criticism of, especially, for example, the Wii U Mario Tennis, where they basically said the mechanics are great and all, but, like, there's just hardly any modes. There's no content here. It feels like a 20 quid game rather than a 40 quid game. And, I mean, hey, if they have sort of that many modes per sport in this game, fine, so be it. Even if it is under developed a tiny bit, fine. It doesn't matter because there's 5 sports. Like, big deal. Let's just, if this costs like 40 quid or whatever, fine. I think that'd be it's a cool bundle. It's an exciting thing to do for the Mario Sports franchise.
Totally. So I am going to go. We're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel here, Bally, but I'm going to pick out Picross 3D Round 2, which everyone I've ever heard talk about Picross 3D says it's the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Because, I know, it's really weird, isn't it? Neither of us have tried it, but everyone you see on Twitter and a lot of podcasters we listen to are just absolutely love it.
They're all obsessed with Picross 3D. Like, it's just crazy. And the original, actually, they also announced the original DS game is going to be on the eShop. It's right now available on Wii U. So I could download that maybe. I don't know how much that is. Probably however DS games are like 6-7 quid. But I think I'd be more interested in jumping into the new one because it seems like it looks really good. Like, very nice art going on in there. And it seems like it's well designed for the 3DS. And I think it's coming out December is what they said. So
did you ever try the 2D version at all?
I think I downloaded on an A's card a while ago and gave it a bash.
So you have an idea of like what it is and how it works, and
yeah, I do kind of, but I didn't really learn a tutorial or anything, so I was kind of going in blind. So I don't think I really got much out of it. But Picross 3D is definitely something that, like, it's a franchise that is always on Nintendo systems, and I've never really got into. Like, I could potentially play that Zelda one because it's 1,000 coins, and I have like fucking coins coming out of my arsehole.
I'm gonna try that at some point.
Yeah. So perhaps. Yeah, Picross 3D. Are you interested in trying this as well, Bally? Then.
I'd like to download that Zelda one for free first and just see if I actually like the concept, even if it is 2D.
Sure.
And then maybe I think there's a demo on the eShop now or something they said.
Yeah, I think there's a demo now.
The 3D one. So they announced a number of demos actually throughout the direct to say, oh, a demo now on the eShop, and that's a nice thing to do. Like it's cool to do that.
Yeah. Okay, Bally. Time to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Not much left. I'm going to be very quick. Rhythm Paradise Megamix is coming October 21st.
Yep, it is.
And they announced a demo on the eShop right there and then, so I might try that. It'll probably be the same one I tried at Gamescom, but
it probably will. Yeah,
that'd be nice to try.
It's probably better to try it in your own home without the noise of the convention around you.
But for a rhythm game, exactly. So I'm going to pick that up hopefully in October. Excited for that. Anything else, MBZ, you want to mention?
I mean,
Quest?
they talked about Dragon Quest again. It's coming out 2 weeks' time. The next 2 weeks are really fucking good for me because Spirit of Justice, which is Ace Attorney 6, is coming out next week, and Dragon Quest 7 is the week after. So those are 2 really big, long games that I guess will keep me busy for a long, long time. So I'm excited for that. And also, they said the Dragon Quest 8 is being delayed, so it's going to come in early 2017 to Europe, which is expected, I think. They said that was coming at some point this year, and then inevitably, like, they want to put a bit more of a gap between these 2 because they are from the same series and they are kind of like one after the other. So it would make sense to space them, especially when they're like massively long RPGs. Yeah.
And I think everything else was stuff we don't care about. So I'm just going to list them, like Mario Party Star Rush. Who cares? Not interested. Amiibos with Animal Crossing New Leaf,
wow, they're going back to that. I think this was announced a while ago, though. I don't know. They're doing a bit more with it, but yeah.
Apparently, there's like a direct for Animal Crossing in November.
Right. That's a weird thing that kind of got brought up, and I'm like, if that's in November, like, does that mean we're going to have some NX announcement, and then the Animal Crossing Direct is going to be talking about an Animal Crossing game on NX? I don't know. Like, it starts to bring into question what their roadmap is for NX and all that reveal.
And of course, who could forget the Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass DLC for Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors just chugging the fuck along.
You can be Toon Link riding on a train through some enemies. Like, who wants to do that?
It feels like Hyrule Warriors, and I said this in my reaction video, has been in literally every Nintendo Direct since it came out, for some goddamn reason or another. Like, be it Amiibo, be it DLC, be it the 3DS update. It seems to be the thing that just clings on and never lets go. And it's great for people who love that game, but fuck me, it just doesn't want to disappear, does it?
No, but I'll tell you what, it's disappearing from our show. Because I think we've covered everything, MBZ.
They did do a quick indie scroll with Pokémon Ed, our main man. Obviously Ed. We have a few Wii U titles coming out in the next few weeks. Axiom Verge is out today, and it's 10% off for next week, and I think all these games are going to be 10% off at their launch, so that's good to know. Azure Striker Gunvolt 2, we've got Severed, Jotun, and some other weird 3DS game called Noitu Love Devolution, which who the fuck knows what that is. But anyway, that is basically it, Bally. All in all, I would say it was a really meh Direct from my perspective.
Really?
Announcements that I enjoyed were... Really, I can't think of one that I'm actually going to benefit from personally. So
my 2 favorite announcements were Pikmin and Mario Sports. It was definitely disappointing to hear who Pikmin was being made by. Later, but who knows? They might hit it out of the park. Who knows? I think that Mario Sports is exciting. That's a cool idea to do with those franchises, and I was really expecting nothing from this Direct. I thought they were just going to waffle on about Pokemon forever. They did for a bit, but not forever. And I thought they were just going to announce stuff that had already been announced, and there are actually some new things, which was cool.
I think it's more interesting from a coverage standpoint of like, hey, they're bringing these Wii U games to 3DS.
If I was a 3DS owner and didn't own a Wii U, I'd be pretty pumped about something like Woolly World and Mario Maker, even if Mario Maker is not quite its Wii U counterpart.
I think Woolly World's going to look fantastic in 3D as well.
Yeah, it'll be cool, and it's a cool game.
Yeah, Ever Oasis also they talked about, which that's coming out 2017, so not much new there either. But yeah, Bally, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's everything. How are you feeling about the roadmap to NX now after this Direct has been put out the way? Do you think that this was put here because they wanted to get some shit out of the way before they moved on to the real stuff?
I put the tweet out. I said when everyone wants news on oranges, give them news on apples. And it was really weird when they announced this, that everyone's on the edge of their seats waiting for NX news to happen, and then we get a Direct on the 3DS. A weird one, but I guess it's just a nice thing to put at the start of the month. Obviously, Sony have their thing in a few days' time, and then who knows? Nintendo might do something at the end of the month. We'll see. But it might be a nice way of spreading it out, getting Nintendo news flowing through September, and then getting people hyped for the holidays, and then on to the new year when hopefully, obviously, NX is going to come.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, there were some reactions from Twitter. You put out a tweet, and some people responded, giving their thoughts on the Direct. From @Dankaze Midori says, it was okay, some surprises, but not all of them exciting for me, which I would agree with. I think that makes sense. @Capsule J says, strange 3DS adaptations of Wii U games seems to be a recurring theme. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if they'll continue to do that. Do you think, Bally, that they'll go out and do more Wii U games?
Potentially. I wonder which other ones they would go for would be what I'd be curious. I could see something Captain Toad, maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, that's an interesting call, especially with 3D. That makes a lot of sense.
Something small. I just can't see Splatoon. I think it's just too much.
Yeah,
but who
sure.
knows?
So @Soothing Leaf says, as someone who's a little overwhelmed by normal Pikmin games, a 2D version might be more my speed. We'll probably give it a go. So that's cool. Hopefully that game does better than its pedigree suggests it might. So we'll see there. And then @Chaotix the Robot says, with 3DS versions of Woolly World / Mario Maker, backwards compatibility for NX is looking very unlikely, which I disagree with. But I think that backwards compatibility is looking unlikely on NX for different reasons. I think that we'll definitely see versions of those games pop up as new versions. So, so just a few comments there. We had a few more, but I just wanted to get a kind of temperature of our listenership, of our following. It seems to be some people like stuff, some people didn't.